If you stay this far with us and if you have watched the first part of this video, it means you want to know more about the inspiration, insight, and practical wisdom behind staying solo after 75. And so, in this second part of this video on why marriage might harm your health, we're going to explore the other secret benefits of staying single after 75. Stay with me. Money may not buy happiness, but it surely buys options, peace of mind, and protection. Especially after 75, when most people are living on fixed incomes, facing increasing medical costs, and trying to stretch retirement savings across an uncertain number of years. At this stage of life, your financial health is deeply tied to your emotional and physical well-being. And here's the surprising truth. Staying single can significantly improve your chances of staying financially secure. For starters, let's talk about autonomy, one of the most valuable financial assets a senior can have. When you're single, every dollar you earn, save, or spend is your decision. You're not compromising with a partner over purchases, investments, or lifestyle choices. You set your own budget. You prioritize your own needs. You don't have to worry about someone else's debt, impulsive spending habits, or questionable financial history dragging you down. Marriage, on the other hand, can dramatically complicate your financial landscape, especially in later life. Many seniors enter new marriages without realizing just how much is at stake legally and financially. In fact, one of the most common regrets among remarried seniors is not protecting their assets beforehand. Because the moment you say, "I do," in the eyes of the law, your financial lives become entangled. Consider this: if your new spouse has medical debt, tax issues, credit card debt, or unpaid alimony, those obligations can quickly spill over into your world. If they require long-term care, you may be legally and financially responsible for their expenses, even if you've only been married a short time. Your own savings could be drained to cover nursing home costs or hospital bills. In some cases, spouses have even lost their homes trying to pay for a partner's care. When you stay single, you have far greater control over what you keep and what you risk. You can make clear plans about where your money goes and how it's used. You can update your will, set up trusts, designate beneficiaries, and ensure your legacy is protected without interference or unexpected claims. There's also the issue of government benefits, something many seniors don't realize can be disrupted by marriage. Social Security, Medicaid, pension plans, and survivor benefits can all be affected by your marital status. For instance, if you're receiving a widow or widower's benefit from a deceased spouse, you could lose that income entirely if you remarry. In some cases, pensions with spousal continuation clauses also disappear the moment a new marriage is registered. Imagine losing $1,000 or more each month because of a new marriage. Money that was once helping you cover basic needs. Many seniors enter relationships not knowing that such a financial loss is even on the table. But once the papers are signed, the impact can be permanent. Medicaid is another huge consideration. If you're single and need assistance for long-term care, your eligibility is based on your individual income and assets. But if you're married, your spouse's finances get pulled into the equation, even if they refuse to contribute. This can disqualify you from receiving care, delay important services, or place a financial strain on your household. Some married seniors have even found themselves divorcing late in life, not out of anger or conflict, but out of desperation to qualify for care. Then there's estate planning. When you're single, it's straightforward. You choose exactly who inherits your money, property, and possessions. You can leave assets to your children, grandchildren, charities, or friends with minimal complication. When you're married, especially to someone with adult children or prior obligations, things get messier. Wills can be contested. Stepchildren may have claims. Your biological family could be edged out, or your intentions misinterpreted. It's not uncommon for families to be torn apart over unclear or disputed inheritances. And let's not forget taxes. Filing jointly might seem like a benefit, but for many seniors, it's a burden. It can push you into a higher tax bracket, especially if your spouse is still working or receiving large retirement distributions. You may owe more on investment gains, required minimum distributions, RMDs, and even Social Security income. As a single filer, your tax situation tends to be simpler and easier to manage. But beyond numbers, there's a deeper financial benefit to staying single: peace. Financial arguments are one of the leading causes of stress in relationships. When couples don't see eye to eye about money, whether it's spending, saving, helping family, or handling emergencies, it creates tension that can erode trust and happiness. At this age, that kind of stress is the last thing anyone needs. Being single means fewer arguments, fewer surprises, and no pressure to carry someone else's financial baggage. You also get the freedom to give generously on your own terms. If you want to help a grandchild with tuition, support a local cause, or make a legacy donation, you can. No need to justify it to a partner. No need to debate the impact. Your money, your choice. And then there's the ability to downsize with clarity. Many single seniors find it easier to make lifestyle changes that improve their finances. Moving to a smaller home, joining a retirement community, or switching to a more affordable city becomes a smoother transition when you're the sole decision maker. You're free to optimize your life for comfort, cost, and community, without needing to align with another person's preferences or attachments. This is not to say that all marriages are financial disasters. Not at all. But the risk is real, especially in second or late-in-life marriages where couples often bring complex histories to the table. Staying single allows you to avoid those entanglements. It lets you focus on preserving what you've built, protecting your independence, and using your money to serve your well-being, not someone else's needs. Let's also honor the fact that many seniors have spent decades sacrificing for others, raising children, supporting spouses, helping extended family. Staying single at this stage is a way to finally put yourself first, to use your financial resources to enjoy the life you've earned. Take that cruise. Start a garden. Join that photography class. Say yes to adventure, not obligation. So, if you're in your 70s or beyond and wondering whether staying single makes financial sense, the answer, for many, is a clear and resounding yes. It's not just about saving money. It's about stability, control, and freedom. It's about writing your next chapter with intention, not financial fear. Next is the emotional benefits of singlehood. Let's pause for a moment and reflect on a simple but profound question. What does it really mean to feel free? Not in the patriotic sense or the freedom to vote or travel, but the deep emotional freedom that comes from living life on your own terms. For many people over 75, that kind of freedom often begins not with partnership, but with singleness. Emotional freedom is the space to feel what you feel, think what you think, and act in alignment with your deepest truths. It's the ability to listen to your own voice above the noise of others' expectations. And perhaps the greatest gift of staying single in later life is the permission to truly know and love yourself. Let's face it, many people, especially women, were raised to believe that their worth was tied to being a good wife, a good mother, a good homemaker. For decades, their emotional needs took a back seat to someone else's comfort. They played peacekeeper, caregiver, and sometimes even emotional punching bag, all in the name of maintaining a marriage. And while not all relationships are this unbalanced, far too many seniors carry emotional scars from decades of being silenced or diminished in a partnership. But when you're single, especially after the age of 75, you begin to reclaim a kind of emotional honesty that may have felt out of reach before. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to walk on eggshells. You don't have to compromise your feelings just to keep the peace. You can wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what do I need today? And then answer that question without guilt. This emotional self-centering isn't selfish. It's healing. It's how we rediscover confidence, joy, and presence in our own lives. And the irony is, the older we get, the more we realize that the emotional clutter we've carried, grudges, guilt, fear of being alone, was never really ours to begin with. Staying single gives you the space to drop it all and start fresh. There's also a very real emotional danger in late-life relationships that often goes unspoken: emotional dependency. When seniors enter into new marriages or romantic partnerships late in life, there's often a subtle slide into emotional fusion. Two people begin to rely on each other for everything: companionship, purpose, validation. And while that might sound sweet on the surface, it can actually be emotionally stifling. The pressure to be someone's everything is a heavy burden. And when one person becomes ill, the other may feel trapped in caregiver mode, not because they want to, but because they feel obligated. Their own needs disappear beneath the weight of the others. That's not emotional intimacy, it's emotional burnout. Now compare that to a senior who is single, but deeply connected to themselves, their friends, their passions. They don't need a partner to define them. They know who they are, what they value, and how to self-soothe. They don't chase affection out of loneliness, or stay silent out of fear. Their emotional world is rich, not because they have a partner, but because they've invested in their own wholeness. And here's another often ignored truth: being single can make you more emotionally resilient. Think about it. When you don't have a partner to lean on for every problem, you become your own anchor. You learn how to sit with discomfort, how to work through sadness, how to celebrate your own wins. You learn how to face life's unpredictability without expecting someone else to fix it for you. That kind of emotional muscle makes you stronger, not just in your mind, but in your body too. Studies show that emotional resilience is linked to better immune function, lower inflammation, and improved recovery from illness. That's right, being emotionally strong isn't just comforting, it's actually life-extending. So when people say you need a spouse to be emotionally supported in old age, they're missing the bigger picture. Emotional strength doesn't come from someone else, it comes from within. And singleness often provides the space to cultivate it. There's also something deeply powerful about being emotionally unobligated. When you're single, you're not responsible for someone else's emotional stability. You're not trying to regulate their moods, anticipate their reactions, or carry the emotional weight of their unresolved baggage. You can keep your emotional energy for you, to nurture, to heal, to expand. And in that space, you can rediscover passions that may have been buried for years. Maybe you pick up painting again. Maybe you start journaling, or walking in nature, or dancing around your kitchen to music that makes you feel alive. These small moments of self-expression are sacred, and they often bloom most fully when there's no one watching, no one judging, no one telling you to hurry up, or be quiet, or act your age. Being single gives you emotional curiosity, the freedom to ask, what else is inside of me that hasn't been explored yet? For some, it might be spiritual growth. For others, emotional expression through art or music. For many, it's the chance to rewrite old narratives. I'm not too old. I'm not unlovable. I'm not broken. I am still becoming who I was always meant to be. This emotional growth is especially meaningful in a society that often treats aging as decline. But what if aging is actually a return to yourself, your truth, your wholeness? When you're single, you're not shackled by the emotional noise of someone else's opinions or projections. You can hear your own inner voice more clearly than ever. And here's something else that might surprise you. Single seniors are often more socially connected than married ones. That's right. Studies have shown that unmarried older adults are more likely to have diverse social networks. They maintain friendships. They engage with community. They call, visit, and show up for others and themselves. Why? Because when you're single, you don't rely on one person to meet all your emotional needs. You spread your love across many relationships: friends, neighbors, family, pets, even strangers. You become more emotionally generous, more open-hearted, more connected. Marriage, especially in late life, can actually isolate people by pulling their focus into one central relationship and away from the broader community. And loneliness. It's not about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected. A single person with meaningful relationships, hobbies, and purpose will always be less lonely than someone married to a partner who is emotionally distant, controlling, or disengaged. So if you're over 75 and single, or considering staying single, know this: emotional freedom is not a consolation prize. It's a gift, a sacred one. It allows you to live deeply, feel fully, and grow continuously. You are not half of a whole. You are a complete and beautiful being, right now, just as you are. Next, we dive into one of the most liberating aspects of staying single: the power of time. If there's one thing more valuable than money, more precious than possessions, and more limited than anything else in life, it's time. And after 75, time takes on a whole new meaning. It becomes sacred, not because you're running out of it, but because you finally understand how important it is to spend it wisely. And that's where singleness becomes your greatest advantage. It gives you the freedom to fully own your time. For decades, your schedule may have belonged to someone else. You might have built your life around a spouse's routine: when they woke up, when they wanted dinner, what their hobbies were, when they needed help or attention. Maybe you coordinated around their doctor's appointments or medications, their habits, or even their moods. If you were in a long-term relationship, chances are your calendar didn't really reflect your priorities. It was a compromise, often more theirs than yours. But when you're single, your time is no longer negotiated, it's honored. It's not measured by someone else's needs, but by your own rhythms. You wake up when your body wants to. You eat when you're hungry. You take walks, naps, or quiet moments when your soul asks for them. That kind of sovereignty over your day may sound small to some people, but to those who've lived a life of compromise, it's revolutionary. It means you can spend your golden hours exactly as you please. Want to read for 3 hours straight? You can. Feel like having breakfast at 11 a.m. and staying in your pajamas until noon? There's no one to question or hurry you. Your time becomes your sanctuary, your canvas, your playground. There's also a profound health benefit to this kind of freedom. When you're not constantly adapting to someone else's clock, your stress levels drop. Your body starts to heal from the inside out. Cortisol levels lower. Blood pressure stabilizes. Even your digestion improves. Why? Because your nervous system isn't on constant alert, scanning for someone else's demands or disruptions. Instead, it relaxes into a natural rhythm, your rhythm. Many seniors in marriages find themselves caught in a cycle of caregiving or emotional management, which can completely take over their time. Their days get filled with tasks that aren't meaningful to them: doctor visits, meal prep, managing medications, keeping someone company when they'd rather be doing something else. And while love may be present in those acts, exhaustion often is too. It's not selfish to admit that caregiving, especially as you age yourself, can steal not just your energy, but your hours. In contrast, single seniors often report feeling more present in their days. There's less multitasking, less rushing, more moments of genuine stillness, sitting on a porch as the sun sets, enjoying a warm cup of tea without interruption, walking through a park with no agenda. And these aren't just pleasant moments, they're medicinal. They are good for the brain, good for the heart, good for the soul. Another gift of owning your time is that it lets you rediscover lost parts of yourself. Remember those hobbies you set aside years ago? The dreams you postponed for family, for marriage, for work? Being single after 75 is your invitation to bring them back. Maybe you start gardening again. Maybe you pull out that old sewing machine. Maybe you join a local choir or take a watercolor class. The key is, you get to choose what fills your hours, not out of duty, but out of delight. And for those who are introverted or value solitude, singleness can feel like a long-awaited exhale. There's no pressure to fill every moment with conversation or companionship. You're allowed to enjoy your own company without guilt or apology. In fact, many people find that their most creative, peaceful, and spiritually fulfilling experiences come during periods of solitude. And for seniors, that solitude is often easier to access, and more enjoyable, when you're not managing a relationship. Let's not overlook spontaneity, either. When you're single, you can decide, on a whim, to do whatever lights you up. Go to a museum. Visit a friend. Try a new restaurant. Start a puzzle and leave it out on the table for a week. There's no need to check with anyone, compromise on preferences, or argue over how to spend the day. Your time is yours, and that freedom breeds joy. On the other hand, couples in later life often find that their time is shared, but not always equally or joyfully. Differences in energy, health, or interests can lead to conflict or resentment. One person wants to go out, the other wants to stay in. One person needs constant support, the other is craving space. And while compromise is possible, it often comes at the cost of true personal fulfillment. When you're single, that tug-of-war disappears. You don't have to suppress your desires to maintain harmony. You don't have to wait for someone else to be ready. You don't have to negotiate every outing or activity. You simply do what brings you peace and pleasure. There's also something empowering about planning your own future. Whether it's choosing where you want to live, how you want to spend holidays, or what kind of end-of-life care you want, those decisions are yours. You don't have to navigate someone else's wishes or disappoint someone with your choices. You can live and plan with clarity, intention, and self-respect. Let's be honest. Time is the one currency we never get back. And after 75, you start to see every minute as gold. So ask yourself, who deserves that gold? Who do you want to give it to? More importantly, how do you want to spend it? Being single means the answer can be you. You can be the one who receives your best hours, your morning thoughts, your afternoon dreams, your quiet evenings, your joyful moments. And there's no shame in that. In fact, it might be the most spiritually aligned choice you can make. You get to slow down and savor. You get to deepen your connection to nature, to beauty, to rest. You get to say yes and no without needing a reason. You get to build a life that reflects your values, your spirit, your essence. So often we're taught that singleness is a space of waiting. But after 75, it can be the exact opposite. It can be a space of arrival. This is your time. Not borrowed. Not compromised. Not controlled. Fully yours. Now, we're going to look at how staying single can actually protect your financial health and long-term security. There's a quiet truth that many people don't talk about when it comes to aging and relationships, and it has nothing to do with love, companionship, or health. It has everything to do with money. After 75, financial well-being becomes not only about stability, but peace of mind. And in many cases, staying single can actually make your financial life easier, clearer, and more secure. Let's start with the obvious. When you're single, you are the sole decision-maker when it comes to your finances. That may sound lonely to some, but for many seniors, it's a relief. There's no need to debate spending habits, no arguments about budgeting or investments, no worrying about how someone else manages debt or overspending. You control your income, your outgo, and your future. Full stop. This level of control is especially important as you move into fixed income territory, when you're living off Social Security, pensions, or retirement savings. Every dollar matters, and financial stress can take a real toll on your health. If your partner is financially reckless, secretive, or simply misaligned with your priorities, it can create enormous strain. But when you're single, there's clarity. You know exactly what's coming in and where it's going. That's not just empowering, it's protective. There's also the matter of long-term planning. Estate planning, wills, advance directives, and healthcare proxies are far simpler when you don't have to navigate someone else's preferences or family complications. Many seniors in second or third marriages face legal and emotional minefields when it comes to inheritance and medical decisions. Children from previous marriages can clash. Disagreements can emerge about how assets should be split or who gets to make the final call in a medical crisis. But if you're single, you can lay out your plans exactly the way you want. You can leave assets to your children, your church, a charity, or a trusted friend, without negotiating with a spouse or risking drama. Your voice remains the loudest. Your legacy is yours to shape. Financial abuse is another hidden risk in later life relationships. Unfortunately, many seniors, especially women, find themselves manipulated or exploited by partners who control their money, isolate them from financial tools, or pressure them into decisions they don't fully understand. This can be devastating, especially when it happens after a lifetime of hard work and careful saving. Singleness can act as a shield against these scenarios. It gives you the power to stay alert, informed, and independent. You're less likely to be coerced into signing documents you don't understand or handing over access to your bank accounts. You have the space to consult trusted advisors, think through your decisions, and avoid making emotional choices that can lead to financial ruin. And then there's spending itself. The truth is, being in a relationship can be expensive. Two people mean more groceries, higher utility bills, more frequent healthcare costs, and possibly more housing demands. Even if you split expenses, there are often added costs in joint living that don't exist when you're on your own. Being single gives you the freedom to live small, smart, and well, without compromise. You can downsize into a cozy one-bedroom apartment. You can eliminate unnecessary expenses. You can cook what you want, buy only what you need, and avoid the impulse spending that sometimes comes with trying to please a partner. This kind of intentional living leads to more than just financial security. It leads to inner peace. That peace is worth its weight in gold. Being financially independent also boosts your self-esteem. There's something incredibly satisfying about knowing you can manage your own money, even in your later years. It keeps your mind sharp, your confidence high, and your sense of agency intact. That's not just good for your wallet, it's good for your spirit. And speaking of spirit, let's talk about how staying single protects your willpower. Aging well takes discipline. It takes daily choices around health, habits, and personal goals. When you're in a relationship, especially one that isn't fully aligned with your vision, it's easy to get derailed. Maybe your partner doesn't like healthy food, so you end up compromising your diet. Maybe they don't enjoy walking or movement, so you stop exercising. Maybe they're more negative or fearful, and their energy starts to cloud your own mindset. But when you're single, you get to stay on your own track. You're not constantly adjusting for someone else's preferences. You get to build habits that reflect your best self. You can surround yourself with positivity. You can choose routines that lift you up. You can protect your boundaries with more ease, and make daily decisions that support your long-term well-being. Your time, energy, attention, and money all become tools for self-empowerment. You start to realize that singleness isn't about being without, it's about being within. Within your truth, within your purpose, within your power. And as we wrap up, let's revisit the question that started it all. Why might marriage harm your health after 75? Because it can lead to stress, compromise, financial risk, emotional tension, and physical exhaustion, especially when it's not rooted in mutual wellness, trust, and freedom. Not all marriages are harmful, of course. Some are beautiful, balanced, and life-giving. But many are not. And for those who are brave enough to choose singleness, the benefits can be profound. You gain mental clarity. You reduce daily conflict. You rediscover your personal rhythm. You deepen your spiritual connection. You protect your finances. You reclaim your time. You prioritize your health. And most importantly, you learn to love yourself in ways that perhaps you never had the space to before. Singleness after 75 isn't a sentence. It's a sacred season. A time of wisdom, clarity, and emotional independence. A time to stop managing others and start nurturing yourself. A time to find joy in your own company, peace in your solitude, and strength in your autonomy. So if you find yourself single in your later years, don't see it as a failure. See it as freedom, a gift, a fresh start. Because sometimes the most loving relationship you'll ever have is the one you build with yourself. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone else who might need to hear it. And if you're over 75 and thriving in your singleness, drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your story. Your wisdom could inspire someone else who's still learning to walk this path. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more empowering content tailored specifically for our vibrant 55+ community. Until next time, remember, your life, your health, your happiness, they belong to you. Take care and keep shining.